Know your breed. Josh. It seems like everyone today is trying to go green. Health, environmental, and political pressures have made green quite the buzzword these days. But with shouts from every direction saying to be green this or green that, we could benefit from taking a broad look at what going green is really all about. So today we'll be going over 3 topics. The first is existing fuel-consuming energy generation. The second is renewable energy generation. And the third is some additional green measures that can be implemented in society to make us all more green. By looking at all these, we'll discover which types of energy sources are green and practices are green, and how those all compare and fit into our nation's energy future. The first topic we'll go over is fuel-consuming technologies. The biggest of these is coal-fired generation. Burning coal is the primary way that most utilities make most of their electricity, and for good reason, because it's the cheapest way of producing electricity. But coal has a dark side, is also very dirty, and therefore not a very green source of energy. But there are some new technologies on the horizon, such as carbon capture, that could make coal a contender in the future as well. The second fuel-consuming technology is natural gas. Burning natural gas is a little cleaner than coal is, but it is also more expensive. Even with the lowering natural gas prices these last couple of years, coal is still the primary source over natural gas. The third form of fuel-consuming generation is nuclear. And nuclear energy is a little different than the first two in that it is actually relatively clean. The trouble with nuclear is that it is also very, very expensive, and there are some nuclear waste issues still being resolved politically at the moment. So our 3 fuel-consuming technologies were coal, natural gas, and nuclear. The second topic we'll go over are some forms of renewable energy. The first of which is solar. And solar energy can vary from large boiler plants in the sunny deserts to small residential or commercial rooftop solar installations as well. And Consumers Energy and other utilities have a lot of programs out there for people to install this kind of solar because it is both renewable and also very clean. The second renewable is wind, and wind power is attained through very large turbines, usually in farms of dozens to hundreds of turbines. And Consumers Energy, again, has a lot of wind farm plans in the process of being zoned out as well as constructed. The chief invective against these 2, wind and solar, they're nice and renewable and clean, but they have a problem, and that's that they're known to be intermittent renewables, in that the sun is not always shining for solar and the wind is not always blowing for the wind power. Our third renewable is biomass, and biomass is different than the other 2 in that even though it is renewable, it is not necessarily clean. Biomass includes the burning of wood or brush, as well as things as like landfill gases or other farm waste and such. So our 3 renewables are solar, wind, and biomass. The third topic we'll look at are some general green measures that society can take to become more environmentally conscious. The first is consumer habits. Changing people's ways, how they go about living their lives and using energy. Little things such as turning out the lights when you don't need to, or turning down the thermostat, or the heating and cooling, using less hot water. All these things are consumer habits that will affect how green we live. The second green measure is energy efficiency, and this can be in the types of building materials used, new construction standards for buildings, as well as taking advantage of new lighting technologies and Energy Star appliances. So energy efficiency. And thirdly, as a green measure, we have new and emerging technologies, the biggest of which will probably be the emergence of electric vehicles. And this will have a huge impact on the gasoline that we use and how that energy will transfer over using electricity instead, as well as those batteries, with house batteries in the future, pump storage facilities at utilities, and the smart grid overall will have a large impact on how efficient the entire grid as a whole is, and therefore how green it is. So our green measures, we had consumer habits, energy efficiency, and taking advantage of new and emerging technologies. So in conclusion, we went over the fuel-consuming technologies. Those were coal, gas, and nuclear. We looked at some of the renewable energy sources, and those were wind, solar, and biomass. And we looked at some green measures in society, such as consumer habits, energy efficiency, and new and emerging technologies. So with our society making all these changes towards going green, it's important for us all to try to keep informed about the existing and new technologies. Because whether you're a policymaker, a utility employee, or just an average energy consumer, our world will only be able to make the right energy choices if we all know our green. Toastmaster.